Well, hi, this is George O'Neill. Well, I'm in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is about a 2.5 hour drive west of Newark, New Jersey. And that's where I flew in this morning from Toronto. And behind me is, I believe it's a town of Hershey. I might be mistaken. It may be a city. But everything here is dedicated to Hershey Chocolates. So what we're looking at is the theme park, which is currently closed because we're in late February. Behind it in those tan buildings and manufacturing is part of the manufacturing buildings and storage facilities for Hershey Chocolates. There's a outlet mall. I'm standing in Hershey Gardens on a hill. I'm sure it's just beautiful here in the summer. It's nice today, but I'm sure it's just beautiful in the summer. And then straight ahead of us now is the Hershey Hotel. I bet you get a chocolate on your bed and your pillow in the evening at that hotel. And then continue to pan around. Across from us right now is the Hershey School. And then looking back at the outlet mall and the theme park. Let's just take a look at some other activities in town, some of the things to see as well. Okay, so here I am on Chocolate Avenue. This is the Hershey Museum behind me. Let's go in and take a look.
Maybe, but I don't think we can be content with simply selling pearls. There you are.
Good day.
And you, sir. Thank you.
I've worked at the Hershey factory all my life, but I still think the way we make chocolate bars here is incredible. My name is Anna, and I'm one of the women who wrap thousands of bars of chocolate every day and send them on their way.
Creating a delicious milk chocolate is an amazing process. At Hershey's, making chocolate is all about innovation.
Today in 1932, a Hershey bar costs just a nickel. But my mother says that before Mr. Hershey came along, milk chocolate was so expensive, her family couldn't afford it.
Milton Hershey is a true visionary. He's turned this exotic sweet into a confection anybody, rich or poor, can buy and enjoy. Mr. Hershey isn't a chemist. He's always worked by trial and error, testing countless ways of mixing and condensing milk, sugar, and the ground-up nibs of cocoa beans.
Mr. Hershey started roasting his cocoa beans at a higher temperature than other chocolate makers. This allowed him to use less expensive beans and still get a great taste. And he came up with a new way to condense milk by adding sugar to it first and then boiling it in 2 steps.
After years of experimenting, he finally succeeded in 1900. And that successful recipe for milk chocolate was only part of Milton Hershey's innovative genius.
I think it was brilliant of Mr. Hershey to locate his factory here in eastern Pennsylvania, less than a mile from where he was born. This is dairy country, and milk chocolate needs a steady supply of fresh milk. Besides, he didn't have to pay to haul it from far away. My mother told me that Mr. Hershey opened his new factory here in 1905. As the business grew, he kept adding to it.
This rural setting gave Hershey room to grow without paying big city prices. And he's been able to hire workers locally who are happy to have steady factory jobs. The combination of the perfect formula, a great location, and mass production by machines means that milk chocolate is no longer reserved for the rich. It's become a pleasure anyone can afford. Hershey's innovative way of turning a few ingredients into a mouth-watering bar of chocolate is a marvel of ingenuity.
To make Hershey's milk chocolate, the roasted beans are ground in triple mills to produce a chocolatey liquid. Then the liquid is refined and made even smoother with a conch machine. Finally, the chocolate is cooled and heated, which makes it stable and glossy, and ready to pour into molds. That's what it takes to make a Hershey bar.
Because of Milton Hershey's many innovations, by 1915, he had the biggest chocolate factory in America. It all comes down to doing things right, and there's no better example of that than conching. In a conch machine like this one, a granite roller moves back and forth over the chocolate. It takes an astonishing 4 long days and nights, but in the end, it makes Hershey's chocolate super smooth. Milton Hershey wouldn't have it any other way. Before you leave this room, take a couple of minutes to look around and see how Hershey's innovations turned exotic cocoa beans into delectable and affordable chocolate bars. Now I'll have one of the workers throw the switch and rev up the conch machine. Let's make some chocolate.
Century, Hershey has been a remarkable community to live in. The success of this community is no accident. It came straight from the vision of Milton Hershey, who wanted to create an ideal place for his workers and their families. As a young man, he lived and worked in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. He knew the harsh, unhealthy conditions industrial workers and their families endured. At that time, a few business leaders who were concerned about these desperate conditions decided to build model industrial towns, places where workers and their families could lead better lives. In England, the Cadbury brothers, who who also happened to make chocolate, established Bourneville. For their community, they chose a setting out in the country where each worker's house could have a garden. There were parks and sports facilities for everyone. Employees could even leave work early to study arithmetic, geography, or woodworking. Bourneville was a success, but some model communities were not. In the 1880s, George Pullman, the railroad car magnate, built a town outside Chicago, which he named after himself. Pullman was more concerned with appearances than real benefits for his employees. Here, though houses looked attractive, workers couldn't own their homes. Rent was high. There was even a curfew. Then, during the Depression in 1894, Pullman slashed wages and hours, but not rents. Workers struck, and the 2-month strike left more than a dozen dead. These model industrial towns were well advertised, and Mr. Hershey certainly knew about their advantages and their faults. He wasn't about to make the same mistakes as George Pullman. Construction of the Hershey factory began in 1903, and as the town grew up around it, Mr. Hershey encouraged workers to buy their homes. The Hershey Trust Company gave them easy payment terms. This gave them pride of ownership. In Hershey, workers' houses cost as little as $2,000, while managers could spend $10,000. But it was a small community where executives and workers rubbed shoulders as neighbors. In Hershey, people could even start their own businesses. In fact, H.B. Reese started making his peanut butter cups right here in the 1920s. Milton Hershey thought his workers should have well-rounded lives, so he devoted hundreds of acres to recreation. That's an idea which has stood the test of time. He also loved culture and wanted to bring it to his town. So he planned a huge community building with 6 acres of floor space, including 2 theaters. Most other model industrial communities declined after their founders died and willed their fortunes to their heirs. Mr. Hershey gave virtually his entire fortune to the school he and his wife founded in 1909 to support orphan boys. Today, Milton Hershey School is flourishing, stretching over 10,000 acres in and around his community and serving more than 1,800 children in need. It is indeed his greatest legacy. And now, more than a century after Mr. Hershey dreamed up his model industrial community, with its well-groomed neighborhoods and safe streets, Hershey is still going strong.
So there you have it, a little overview of the Chocolate Museum at Hershey, Pennsylvania, and a tour of the town with some of the highlights. There's actually a lot more here to do than just in a couple of hours. I'm going to have to come back in the summer when I can enjoy some of these outdoor activities a little bit better and when the amusement park is open. If you'd like to learn more about what it's like to come from Toronto to come visit Hershey, Pennsylvania, email me at george@o'neillrealestate.ca. Now I've got to bite into this chocolate bar I bought.